Jimmy Kimmel just roasted Donald and Melania Trump's marriage, and it's brutal. From awkward hand swats to icy stares, Kimmel exposed the cracks in their love story like never before.
Tonight is a special night at the White House. It's Donald and Melania's 20th wedding anniversary. 20 years is a long time, especially for Melania. This morning, Trump paid tribute to his longest-serving wife by reposting this AI image of himself with a lion.
Donald Trump celebrating his 20-year marriage by sharing a weird AI picture of himself looking like the king of delusion? My God, you can almost hear Melania whispering 20 years, and this is what I get? And of course, Trump, the human equivalent of a Facebook uncle lost in 2016, couldn't let the moment pass without making it awkward. Is he gonna laugh it off? Break a phone? Draft a 2 a.m. Truth Social rant in all caps? Or will Melania just hit him with that icy glare that screams, "I'm billing extra hours for this"? Grab your popcorn, it's getting good.
I'm guessing he noticed a bunch of people posting about his anniversary, which remind him, oh, it's my anniversary. So he then reposted this sweet photo of Melania literally pushing him away from her.
And there it is, Kimmel pulling no punches. He knows exactly where to hit Trump, right in the one thing he pretends to care about. His image. You could see it in Jimmy's face. The man looked like a kid who just found a chocolate fountain at a salad bar. He didn't just make a joke, he set off a 5-alarm fireworks show. Because when you roast Trump about his marriage, a marriage that's colder than a Mar-a-Lago shrimp buffet, you're not just throwing shade, you're launching a media nuke. And trust me, Trump is gonna take the bait like a fish that's been fasting for 4 days. And just wait until you see what happens next. It gets even more delicious.
Our president kept the crowd very warm at CPAC over the weekend. CPAC, if you're not familiar, is basically what would happen if Judge Jeanine Pirro headlined the Fire Festival. It's a lot of very angry white people. It is the largest gathering of people who believe vaccines are witchcraft in the world. And for 2 hours and 2 minutes, Donald Trump gave what I believe we may look back on as his I Have a Dream speech. This was his longest speech since taking office. He went on and on. You could have left this speech, watched 2 episodes of Game of Thrones, come back, and he would still have been going. And to kick things off, Trump went to one of his signature moves to start it. And I know there's a lot of competition, but this, I think, this might be the dumbest thing he does. Who does that? Donald Trump shows more affection to flags than Eric and Don Jr. have ever gotten in their whole lives.
Kimmel opened soft, a little poke here, a gentle tease there. Classic warm-up strategy, keep the laughs flowing without sending MAGA hats flying just yet. But everyone in the room knew the good stuff was locked and loaded, and when the time was right, Kimmel dropped it like a comedy nuclear bomb.
Has there ever been a worse host than Jimmy Kimmel at the Oscars? His opening was that of a less-than-average person trying too hard to be something which he is not and never can be. Blah, 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 make America great again. Thank you for watching. I'm surprised you're still watching. Isn't it past your jail time?
Now, of course, sprinkled through the crowd, you had those folks, you know the ones, sitting there like mannequins, terrified that even cracking a smirk might land them on a no-fly list. Meanwhile, the rest of the audience, utter chaos, people practically in tears, pounding their seats, gasping like they just finished a marathon sprint. According to reports from multiple news outlets, his former sister-in-law alleges that Hegseth's wife was terrified he would abuse her to the point where she and her sister had a code to text each other if her husband became violent, and she feared for her safety. And this is where Kimmel really shines. He doesn't just move on after a joke. Oh no. He digs in, peeling the joke open, layer by messy layer, until half the crowd looks like they need medical assistance from laughing so hard. And then, you can always count on it, the cameras start their hunt. Because whenever Trump gets roasted this badly, it's like the Super Bowl of reaction shots. I was gonna make stuff up about him. I'd start telling people he wears diapers. I would explain that it's a long trial. He drinks a lot of Diet Cokes to stay awake. He's getting up there in years, and it's perfectly normal for a man of Trump's age and carriage to wear absorbent undergarments to stop the leaks. So, I mean, if I was making stuff up, that I would point out that the reason he stands like this and golfs like this and plays tennis like this is because he has a full diaper strapped around his little mushroom garden.
okay?
And while Kimmel is serving pure late night gold, you can practically feel the camera operators getting into formation. They start scanning the crowd like it's the Hunger Games for viral reaction shots. Who's laughing too hard? Who's panicking and pretending they didn't just laugh? Who's nervously checking their phone to make sure they didn't just get disowned by their Republican uncle? It's all part of the glorious spectacle, and somewhere, in a dark room with a lukewarm Diet Coke in hand, Donald Trump might have been watching this in real time. Maybe he was rage flipping through channels. Maybe an aide texted him something like, sir, you might want to avoid Twitter, sorry, Truth Social, for the next 48 hours. Either way, one thing was absolutely locked in. Kimmel had just guaranteed that Trump's next 24 hours would be spent crafting the angriest, saddest response imaginable.
Jimmy Fallon asks me if he could do one thing. Could he play with my hair?
Can I mess your hair up?
I want to see if it's real. So he didn't just play. He puts his hand in my hair, and the audience went wild, and they loved it. 6 months later, he stood up, and he said, I'd like to apologize for doing that. He lost his whole audience when he did that.
So now the only question was, would it be a full-blown all-caps meltdown, a rambling post about fake news late-night losers, or maybe, if we're lucky, a brand new conspiracy theory where Kimmel is somehow part of the deep state trying to overthrow King Cheeto himself? Nobody knew exactly what flavor of crazy was coming, but one thing was guaranteed. This joke had lit a fuse, and that explosion was going to be messy. Trump and late-night comics go together like gasoline in a lit match, except somehow the fire never goes out. And if there's one thing the late night world has learned, taking shots at Trump is a guaranteed recipe for headlines, viral clips, and armies of keyboard warriors battling it out in the comment section. But let's be real, this beef didn't just pop up when Trump decided to run for office. No, Trump's been the butt of late night jokes since the 80s and 90s. Back then, he was just a gaudy real estate cartoon character with gold towers, a massive ego, and a hairdo so tragic it deserved its own zip code. And comedians? They loved him for it. Only difference, back then the jokes were about his ridiculous wealth, his bizarre TV appearances, and of course, always that hair.
Usually when Donald Trump gets a spanking like this from a woman, it's with a Forbes magazine. Kamala was pushing his buttons like a 12-year-old playing Fortnite. This was a much better debate than the last debate. This is like the Lion King when Simba came back to avenge Mufasa. Trump's advisors, before the debate, they urged him to be happy Trump instead of mean bully Trump, and to please focus on the issues. Of course, he didn't listen to any of that at all. But who are we kidding? This election isn't about the issues. I mean, Dick Cheney isn't voting for Kamala Harris because he agrees with her on the issues. He's voting for her because there's a rhinoceros charging and she has the tranquilizer gun.
Flashback to the Apprentice era, when Trump went full cartoon villain. He leaned all the way into his brand, the tough-talking boss who fired people for sport like it was a hobby. Late-night comedians had an absolute field day. Conan O'Brien, David Letterman, Jay Leno. They all took turns dunking on him, roasting everything from his catchphrases to his obsession with slapping his name on anything that stood still for more than 10 seconds. And Trump loved it. He ate up the attention, even showing up on these shows, laughing along while they roasted him like a human-sized marshmallow. Because back then, the jokes fed the brand. Then came 2016, and suddenly, reality TV became reality. Late night wasn't just about teasing the quirky billionaire anymore. This was WR, Stephen Colbert, who had already been sharpening his satire knives for years, went full gladiator mode. Seth Meyers, who had once roasted Trump at the 2011 White House Correspondents' Dinner and may still be on Trump's personal hit list, turned his late-night monologues into nightly Trump takedowns. And Jimmy Kimmel, once the king of lighthearted jokes, found himself knee-deep in political stormwater, forced to use his stage to call out Trump's policies, statements, and, of course, his legendary Twitter tantrums. And then there was Jimmy Fallon. Oh, Jimmy. Fallon's infamous mistake, ruffling Trump's hair during a 2016 interview, will go down as one of the biggest late-night blunders ever. Trying to stay apolitical, Fallon ended up humanizing Trump at a time when America was staring into the abyss. The backlash was swift and merciless. Fallon later apologized, admitting he regretted the moment, but the damage was already done. And Trump, he never forgot. Years later, he was still throwing shade at Fallon, telling him to be a man and stop apologizing. As president, Trump's hatred for late-night comedians hit fever pitch. He called them unfunny funny, overrated, and part of the fake news machine. When Colbert torched him in a brutal monologue, Trump sneered and called him a no-talent guy. When Kimmel shredded his policies, Trump clapped back about Kimmel's ratings like a high schooler stalking an ex's Instagram. If Trump wasn't rage tweeting, now rage truth socialing, he was whining at rallies, turning their jokes into full-blown campaign speeches about how unfair the world was to poor little him. Even today, long after leaving the White House, Trump's grudge against late-night TV hasn't cooled one bit. The real problem? The jokes never stop. As long as there's a microphone, a stage, and a room full of people ready to laugh at the world's most orange punchline, late-night comedians will never run out of fresh material.
Jimmy Fallon asks me if he could do one thing. Could he play with my hair?
Can I mess your hair up?
I want to see if it's real. So he didn't just play. He puts his hand in my hair, and the audience went wild, and they loved it. 6 months later, he stood up, and he said, I'd like to apologize for doing that. He lost his whole audience when he did.
For years, Trump and Melania's love story has been America's favorite unsolved mystery, right up there with what's inside Area 51 and who keeps buying Nickelback albums. From the outside, their marriage has always looked less like a fairy tale and more like a business contract, with a strict no hand-holding clause baked in. And late-night hosts, especially Jimmy Kimmel, have made sure every awkward second gets the spotlight it deserves. Kimmel's joke wasn't just funny, it was a precision strike right at the heart of one of pop culture's longest-running inside jokes. And when that punchline landed, the audience reaction said it all: gasps, howls, and that electrifying "oh, he went there" energy you can feel through the screen. Because let's be honest, people have been dissecting the Trump marriage like it's a live episode of CSI for years. Every stiff hug, every cold glance, every tiny interaction picked apart like it's a high-stakes poker match with the fate of the world at stake.
Hey, speaking of prisoners, this should be an interesting Valentine's Day at the White House. For instance, will Donald Trump get flowers from Vladimir Putin? We don't know. And what about his wife, Melania? Will they spend the night together, or will she remain trapped like Rapunzel at their apartment in New York? You know, Melania Trump has a new line of greeting cards. They carry these now at CVS. They're interesting, actually. I've not seen any. Happy Valentine's Day. Open out, saving.
Remember the infamous hand swat 2017? Trump and Melania walking across a tarmac in Israel. Trump reaches for her hand and whack. She bats it away like he was offering her a moldy hot dog. 1 second of footage, and boom, instant meme history. Twitter sleuths, real journalists, fake experts, everybody debated. Was it an accident? Was it the most passive-aggressive move ever caught on camera? Either way, it was a cultural moment, and who could forget the icy stare at Trump's inauguration when Melania's forced smile mysteriously evaporated the second he turned away, straight out of a Jordan Peele horror movie. That clip still surfaces every time someone wants to ask, is Melania trapped? Stack those moments together. The robotic photo ops, the funeral level enthusiasm, the Christmas decorations that looked like they were cursed by Tim Burton, and you've got the perfect setup for late night comedy. And Kimmel, he knew exactly how to tap into it. He didn't just tell a joke, he poured gasoline on a bonfire the internet had been fanning for years. Within minutes, Twitter exploded. Hand swat gifs, conspiracy theories about Melania planning a secret escape. TikTok got in on it, remixing Kimmel's joke with slow motion edits and dramatic soundtracks. Instagram meme pages dusted off their old hash-free Melania posts and gave them a shiny new coat of paint. Of course, Trump's diehard fans weren't laughing. They rushed to defend the marriage like it was the Alamo. They insisted everything was fine. Because, you know, it's totally normal to look like you'd rather be anywhere else on earth than standing next to your spouse, right? But whether you love Trump or love to roast him, there's no denying one thing. His marriage has given America some of the most unintentionally hilarious moments in modern political history. And as long as late night comics like Kimmel are breathing, those moments will never be forgotten. And just like clockwork, Trump did what he always does. He reacted hard. All caps rage posts on Truth Social? Check. Calling Kimmel a third-rate hack and blaming the failing late-night industry? Double check. And the real kicker? In trying to brush it off, Trump ranted so much he turned the simple one-liner into a full-blown multi-day news cycle. A classic Trump move, turning a late-night punch into a self-inflicted PR disaster, all while insisting, of course, that he doesn't care.
Jimmy Kimmel's a loser. We would do Jimmy Kimmel. Kimmel. I do Jimmy Kimmel. I did him a lot.
Yeah.
He used to greet me on the sidewalk outside of his studio. I'd come in. This was before politics, of course. But I'd come in, and he'd be standing on the sidewalk. Oh, sir, may I bring you in? He'd bring me in every time. And then I ran for politics. I never, got involved with him much. But all they do is talk bad about Trump. That's all. The whole show is talking bad about Trump.
He is a ridiculous person.
And just like that, the internet did what it does best. Turned the whole fiasco into a meme factory. Twitter lit up faster than Trump could rage-type witch hunt. Memes of Melania blinking out Morse code flooded the feeds. TikTokers reenacted the whole joke with dramatic slow-mo edits and Titanic soundtracks. Trump supporters rallied in the comments, clutching their pearls and calling it disrespectful. Meanwhile, critics? They laughed so hard, some of them probably pulled a muscle. Late-night hosts saw the opening, and like sharks smelling blood in the water, they pounced. Kimmel's one-liner morphed into a multi-day festival of roasts. At this point, the joke wasn't just a moment, it was a full-blown comedy saga, starring Trump as its very unwilling main character.
So I said to our great First Lady, who can draw a crowd? Did you watch me tonight on television, First Lady? People love our First Lady out there. Go out and get a book. She just wrote a book. I hope she said good things about it. I don't know. I didn't. So busy. She just wrote a book called Melania. Go out and buy it. It's great. And if she says bad things about me, I'll call you all up and I'll say, don't buy it. Get rid of it.
Individual freedom is a fundamental principle that I safeguard. Without a doubt, there is no room for compromise when it comes to this essential right that all women possess from birth: individual freedom. What does my body?
As the chaos unfolded, everyone turned their eyes to Melania, or more accurately, the complete absence of any response. No statement, no tweet, not even a half-hearted "we don't care" moment. Instead, we were left analyzing old clips like detectives on a cold case. Was she secretly sipping tea, cackling in private? Was she rolling her eyes and adding this to her mental list titled "Things I'm Officially Over"? Or was she just too busy perfecting her unreadable Olympic-level poker face? Either way, Melania's silence has never been louder. Now Kimmel faces a tough choice. Let it go like a mature adult, or do what every great comedian dreams of: roast Trump until he's redder than his own MAGA hat. Spoiler alert, maturity is highly overrated. Meanwhile, Trump, the undisputed king of holding grudges, is probably already workshopping dramatic reenactments to add this to his next campaign rally speech. You know the exaggerated hand gestures are coming. Late night writers, they're popping champagne right now. Because when Trump takes the bait, it's like Christmas morning, and he's the gift that never stops giving. Meanwhile, the internet, they're already 10 memes ahead, debating whether this feud ends with a Netflix comedy special or another full-scale Truth Social meltdown. Either way, comedy just chalked up another undefeated victory. And right here, you can check out the next unbelievable Trump meltdown. Click now.